Yo, man, squad, before we get into this week's video, hold up, we got some exciting news from Into the AM. They are doing their Black Friday Cyber Monday deal right now from November 13th through December 8th, where you can get up to 60% off some of your favorite Into the AM stuff and 10% off if you use the affiliate link down below and show us some love. But look, don't just take it from me. Let me show you how good it looks. One of my personal favorites is the Lunar Canyon tee. And as you can see, Sir Barkevius over here clearly approves. He loves how comfy it is. He loves how good it looks. And he is a fashion icon. So who are we to question Mr. Fuzz? Meow, meow. Do you want to stay on theme while you play your favorite Bloomborough Commander deck? Get into character but still look good? Well, you can rock your Ridgeview flannel jacket, basic tee, and all-day pants. Shake it, ribbit, ribbit. So yes, once again, hit up the affiliate link, save some money, show us some love. And remember, like Kenneth the Heathen always says, something about dripping in space and screaming.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Command Center, where we like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do it unless we play those three inspiring letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Hadoken?
Y'all know what it stands for. I'm tired of y'all tired of telling y'all. It stands for everybody deserves holidays. That's right. Even you cold munching bastards out there who be putting those degenerate decks together. We see you out there. By the way, I love to give a shout out to everybody we ran into at MagicCon Vegas. First of all y'all were awesome, except the people who beat us. I mean, y'all scum sucking, egg eating bastards. And I hope y'all kick chairs in the middle of the night. But outside of the people who defeated us, you know, everybody else was cool because y'all were just victims. But, you know, it was a great convention, had a great time, met a lot of great people. Pretty sure I caught COVID, but it was an amazing time.
Pretty sure. I'm glad to know that you test and stay on top of your stuff. All right, so what are we talking about today?
So there, again, thank you everybody who we ran into at MagicCon Vegas. It was a blast. Had a fun time, despite what Ken says, even losing to you all. Honestly, it wasn't that fun. It was intriguing, but not that fun. But yeah, shout out to everybody. And really, while we were at MagicCon Vegas, there were a lot of announcements that a lot of people that you probably listened to have already discussed and talked about. And some have fomented over and some have begun to kind of rationalize things. But particularly today, we just kind of really wanted to touch on like what the future of Magic is looking like, particularly around that whole Universes Beyond announcement, being like 50% of Magic going into next year and going forward, and really just kind of give our ideas on what we look forward to out of that and how we feel about it, and yeah, we'll see what other thoughts kind of percolate out of that as well.
For sure. And yeah, I like what y'all already said. Getting to meet everybody was awesome. If anybody, I said this in the last video release, but I want to repeat it here. If anyone did manage to kill Ken, tell us a story in the comments and just make our day. Because if we can't do it, some of y'all can, and it'll just make us very happy. But yeah, getting to meet everybody was super fun. Yeah, and that's always the most fun part of every convention. Ken, I see you try to make a point, and I see you moving hands and lips, but I need you to stop and let me live in my moment of picturing you losing to someone. And have my happiness.
We can all dream, but I like to give a shout out because there were some very funny interactions that we had. Like I said, it was hilarious at times. Like I said, great energy, great people, and can't wait to see you guys. We will be in Chicago. Hopefully, depends on how cold it is. We might just turn around and go back home because we don't do cold weather around here.
Get off the plane, just give a little peace sign, and then immediately walk back on the plane. Like, take me back.
Yeah. Tap the pilot on the shoulder, like, bro, this ain't it. It's $10 for gas money. Take me back home.
But yeah, so we do want to get. It's funny. So if any of y'all are familiar, I forgot the name of it, but there's a Twitter like that basically goes and just like tweets out breaking news 6 months after it happens, and it's like breaking news. Then it'll be, and then sometimes it's like. I feel like that's what we do, but in a good way, where it's like we let things settle and talk. And this one's 100% my fault because I ran away to Europe literally like 3 days after Vegas, so we haven't had a chance to really discuss much. But we wanted to let things settle, get everything kind of situated, take some time to digest the news, and talk about, because there were some like big announcements that happened at Vegas this year. That beyond just, I feel like, you know, you always have like set announcements, this and that, but as far as like shifts And obviously, we're talking about them bringing back MSRP. That was the biggest news that anyone could have dropped. It actually got audible cheers. That was the best part about it. Was we were backstage for game nights when it happened, and there was actual applause.
No,
in the audience.
The biggest news
when they brought back MSRP.
The biggest news is that a majority of people had washed their ass at this convention. I was actually smelling perfume scents and I was enjoying it. At one point, I smelled the cologne.
Yo, I like no kid. I said the same thing to Angel in that, like, yeah, all those, like, for the longest time there's all those jokes and people always like to say like and some of it, you know, the first couple conventions I went to, you smell some funky stuff. People at Vegas were on their stuff. People were deodorized, perfumized, like they were killing it.
I think I know why. I have a theory. And this is one of my other shout outs, because I saw a lot of like people out there with their like couples, like ladies and gents stepping it up for each other. I see, like, keep doing it, keep bringing everybody out there. Love to see all the happy couples, all the happy, lovely people, you know, coming out to do some magic stuff. Like that was eye opening to me. And also, I guess, nose opening. I don't know.
I honestly,
I see what it is. Yeah,
I miss the butt crack guy. The butt crack guy. That has been my hero from the beginning. I have been trying to run into him for the longest. Please unban the butt crack guy.
Free.
Can we finally talk about the announcements?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we're minutes in. So, big announcement. So the first one I want to talk about is that they basically more or less announced that 50% of sets for the foreseeable future will be universes beyond. That was kind of the prelude to them getting into the announcements of the specific sets. So it was kind of a two-parter. First, they announced, or I don't remember the order, but in this case, we're going to talk about first the fact that they announced that, yes, 50% of sets going forward are universes beyond, and that universes beyond sets, the mainline sets, are going to be standard legal. Those were the two big announcements that I think got everybody intrigued, feeling some type of way, all those types of things. And I think those are the two most impactful announcements going forward. So we're going to get into specific sets in a little bit, but we want to talk about those two first and break those down individually. So let's first start with the fact that there are 50% of sets each year are going to be universes beyond. And we already had a direct kind of consequence to this, in a sense, that there's supposed to be a new Lorwyn set next year. That got pushed back to 2026 in order to fit in another universes beyond set at the end of next year. So they've already announced, obviously, we have an unannounced one, Final Fantasy and Spider-Man next year. How do y'all feel about the concept of 50% of Magic sets not being Magic going forward? Ken, I'll let you kick it off, because I feel like you have the most connection points to universes beyond out of the three of us, as far as actually like understanding like the references and things.
First, I want to set this up because we were behind the stage when this got announced, and the quiet that came over Bethlehem, like I thought somebody might have passed out and hit their head on a coffee table or something. I had to peek through the curtains, like, is everybody okay out there? Like, you can hear a butt crack squeak from all the hushed tones out there. So I was like, okay, cool. And at one point, I think Mark Rosewater had froze on stage, like, I'm not hearing applause. Is this mic broken? So I'll say this. I want 100% universes beyond. That's right. I said it. You want me to tell you why? I don't know jack about magic lore anyway. So when they told me Spider-Man was coming out, I didn't even flinch, because I was like, I guess they're going on a different plane or something like that. Like Jace might be joining the Avengers. I don't know. I don't know nothing about the story. You people be like, well, Ugin joined the Bloodline and he's a part of the Guild Pact. And I was like, hey, okay. I turn and do 20 damage to you. I don't know what any of this means, all right? Like, people sitting there freaking out and stuff and peeing on themselves, and I'm just sitting. It's like when people are running and I don't know what to be afraid of, and that's the situation that I'm in. 100% universes beyond.
It's so funny. It's so funny because, like, I honestly never thought of it, and it's a good point in the sense of, like, sometimes you get so involved in things, you forget that most people aren't like you. And Magic, I think, is a great example of, like, how much lore does the average player actually know or care about? So I know for like the more invested players, like you get really attached to characters and planes and all these things. But like the majority of players that just play more casually, do they even care?
I am the purest example.
I never thought of it like that.
I am the purest example of ignorance is bliss. And let me put this on the wood right quick. All right. I get what they're doing. And I understand this from both sides. From the player base, it's like we have this world that these 25 plus going on 30 years of world building. We have ties to these people. There's an emotional incentive because during parts of our lives we've grown up with this game. Well, some of these people have grown up with this game, and I understand that. But I also understand it from the corporate aspect because these products have to be evergreen. And by that, I mean it has to try to appeal to another audience. And people may rage against this, but let's point to some facts right quick. Okay? Lord of the Rings was one of the best sets ever printed. It was one of the most popular sets ever printed. Let's put that on there. And yes, everybody can agree that it actually fuses quite well with the concept, especially Dungeons and Dragons and all that, because that is the same company. But Lord of the Rings is a great fit. But there is a market for these products, and there is a demand for it. And if you are somebody who is new to Magic, I've met people who've never played this game before. It is very intimidating. With the mechanics, with the rules, with the amount of cards, with the abundance, it is very intimidating to get into this game. So I think it's okay to have a gateway and bridge to bring people into so they can feel comfortable. Because if you're looking at a card you're familiar with, if you're looking at a Sephiroth, if you're looking at a SpongeBob, if you're looking at a Spider-Man, and you can connect that to something you know, you'll be a little more easy to immerse yourself into this, because that's the reason I won't play Yu-Gi-Oh! To say, like, gun to my grandmama head. They're like, I'm gonna kill this bitch if you don't play some Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll be like, God, I'm sorry, grandma, you have to eat it. You gonna have to go see Uncle Charles. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so cumbersome that I refuse. Like, I'm like, I'd rather play CEDH, and I'd rather shit in a church bucket than play CEDH.
So, ironically, Derek and I were talking about this before you jumped online, and yeah, we were kind of avid. No, Yu-Gi-Oh, man, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yes,
Is that what you took away from the conversation? I need you to pay attention, Derek.
Stay on task. All right.
Yes, Yu-Gi-Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, so we were just talking about how, like, we were avid Yu-Gi-Oh players back in the day, like whether it be the physical card game for Derek, and I think he also said he also played on the Nintendo products as well. I primarily just played it on like 3DS and whatnot.
That's so you can cheat.
Growing up, and well, that I wanted access to all the codes, so Game Genie, yeah, whatever.
That's cheating.
And I had it on different systems too. Like there was a really cool one on the PlayStation. That was pretty cool. Duelist of the Roses, I think. But gun to Ken's grandma head, I will not play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Wait, you got your own grandma? Put a gun to her head. Like, you using mine as fodder? Like, damn. Here's my grandma. I get to put the gun to her
Ken already volunteered her up. At this point, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, she's up for grabs.
Wait, further, she is my hostage. Okay, let me first get done with the query.
Anyway, yeah. So that's just how cumbersome Yu-Gi-Oh is these days. But I was just saying, like, even the Jumpstart cards that we were kind of just looking at for the new Jumpstart products with the little anime kind of characters, it gave me that Yu-Gi-Oh feeling that kind of made me feel like more at home, like more at ease. Like, so I definitely see what Ken is saying as far as like the gatewayness of like whether it be the art or the products or whatever the lore is behind the universes beyond. Like, there's a gateway to get people to kind of feel nostalgic about things that will make them want to play a card game like Magic. So I definitely see the use, and I'm not as bummed out about Universes Beyond being 50% of Magic, even though I am, out of the three of us, the more lore invested person. I like world building. I like fantasy worlds that have like, you know, that make sense and tell good stories. And that's definitely been lacking with Magic over the past, you know, 3 to 5 years. Some hits and misses here and there, probably more misses than hits. But I'm gonna miss it. But like Ken said, it's been lacking. So I've started getting used to Magic lore just not being relevant to the game. So it kind of is what it is.
Can anybody?
I hate to see it, but it kind of is what it is.
Can anybody tell me what the hell was going on with that cowboy set?
Well, and that's kind of where I'm going to jump in at, because I agree with you a lot in that it felt like to me, with if we're going to have as many releases a year as we're going to have, it felt like Magic IP was being spread too thin. It felt like there were so many sets that needed to be released that they're all Magic IP. It feels like, oh, I mean, even with the characters, I mean, we have 75 Kellens. We've talked about that before, where there's so many new sets coming out using the same characters, referencing the same story, that it gets exhausting. And my initial reaction at 50% Universes Beyond, I think, was similar to most people's, and I was like, oh no. But it's almost similar to my reaction to Universes Beyond in general when it first started. I was like, this is awful. I hate this. I don't want any of this. And then I get to see the first Universes Beyond set, and it made me rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy and like analyze every character for their Magic card. And it was super fun. Like, it made me watch some Doctor Who episodes. It's when Spider-Man comes out, I'm gonna rewatch the shit out of the Raimi Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 3, shout out to Emo Spider-Man, and have a great time. And like, so I think it's almost like a palate cleanser now, in that if every year, if they're really going to force out 6 sets a year, which is wild, but if that's what it needs to be, having an actual Magic set and then a Universes Beyond set and then a Magic set, and that's the cadence they're going with, it is almost like a palate cleanse. And okay, cool, we get Magic story, we get some Magic characters, this and that, and then you get to hang out with Final Fantasy characters. And the cool thing about those are, like, you don't, for a lot of us, if it speaks to you and it's Universes Beyond you're interested in, like, you don't need to go study the lore for it. This is like, it's stuff that you know. It's stuff that you could probably, I mean, a lot of these IPs are stuff that if someone was told you to go on a stage and talk for an hour about a topic, it's stuff you would pick. Like, if you needed me to go on an hour rant about Final Fantasy, I am ready at all times of day to do that. So to me, even for IPs I'm not interested in, it does serve as that palate cleanse where there's established characters in a new world. It gets me interested in other media and things like that. And then we're coming right back to Magic after. So I think as much as the general consensus seems to be a more sky is falling type thing, my overall feeling is it's not that bad. Now, if we were getting 3 Magic sets a year or 2 Magic sets a year, and one of those was going to be Universes Beyond, and we were only getting like 1 Magic IP set for the full year, that is more concerning to me. You know, if that's the situation where it's like we're not seeing much of it. But I mean, honestly, if we got 3 Magic sets a year and they were all Magic IP with nothing else, that's what it used to be. That used to be reality. So we're almost getting back to the situation of just getting 3 Magic IP sets a year. Maybe it was 4 or whatever it was, but before they pumped everything up. So I think my overall view is positive, and it is interesting to hear that we all have positive thoughts about it. I guess I want to turn that next to play a little bit of devil's advocate there. Like, what is your biggest concern with the 50% Universes Beyond thing? Because it seems like we all see the positives of what it can do, and we didn't even talk about as much, but bringing a whole bunch of new players in, the fact that if they do print something that you are like a huge super fan of, like, it's going to be, imagine like taking your 2 favorite things, and Ken, you can see this, like, you love Marvel more than anybody I know, and you love Magic. So to get your 2 favorite things in the world combined has to be like the greatest thing ever. So like that part of it I get, but what would you say your biggest concern with this new approach is?
Well, first of all, going to Final Fantasy, areas deserve to die. All right. Now going back to this for a second, I will say this. I wish it was more Universes Beyond. But you know what? Let's go further. I want a Bed Bath and Universes Beyond. I want a Lay's potato chips and beyond. I want a soda brand. I want to fight a Mountain Dew versus a Coca-Cola. That's how bad I wanted to get. But real talk though, I will say this. One of the negatives is that I do feel like on some level you're alienating your core fan base. Now, I get that you want to grow your brand and this is an evergreen product, and I get that you want to appeal to a wider demographic. And if you notice, like going to the Marvel films didn't just hark on the hardcore fanboys and people who knew the lore from beginning to end. They threw some twists and stuff in there so it can appeal to a general mass and appeal to more people. That's why they were cranking out billion-dollar movies. And I think that what happens is if you stop listening to your core fan base, you start to lose them because you're alienating them. And like I said, I hear the frustration because to people who are very into this, Magic doesn't feel like Magic anymore. All right, because you were able to disassociate and there was a world building associated with this. And now you have Nixilis and you have, Nico Bolas, and you have these epic godlike beings on the table, and they get caught in a jellyfish net, and you like, wait a minute. it kind of pulls you out of it, and I understand where they're coming from. Or J. Jonah Jameson, taps your planeswalker and reduces the loyalty ability because all spiders get -3 and they lose menace, stuff like that. So I kind of see what it is, and it's a hard balancing act. I do not. I would not want to be in Wizards' position because, like I said, it's a hard thing to balance, and I think that's where the 50-50 came in, because it's like, yes, we're going to continue the storylines, but at the same time, we're also going to go into this open market because, again, let's be realistic here. As most people don't want to mention, Wizards made a lot of money. They made a lot of money this past year. So, I'm pretty sure some people got laid off, but they made a butt ton of money. And the money is the bottom dollar is in most cases that matters. But again, you alienate that fan base, there will be retribution in some cases.
I want to definitely kind of keep on that Marvel train that you're just pulled out of the station, because I think there's lessons to learn from Marvel Studios, which kind of leads to one of my concerns is that a lot of people you probably heard of product fatigue and comic book movie fatigue and all that or whatnot. This is debatable, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of this product that's coming out, which kind of concerns me, and that could impact the quality of the sets depending on how fast and how well these are spread out and how well they're managed in time. And Marvel ran into this situation with Disney Plus trying to pump out 18 different shows to fill up the content, to fill up the library so people would buy Disney Plus. And it was a shit show over those 2 to 3 year experiment. And some things were quality, and then some things were like, okay, what just happened here? Not just Marvel, but Star Wars under Disney took a hit because of that. And it was just like, what are we watching? Like, what did we write? Like, who was the writer behind this? And like, did this get greenlit? Like, who was overseeing this? Like, it didn't feel like Marvel anymore. And that was because they had to meet a specific mandate. And, so they were spread thin and trying to get things out fast, and also pandemic. So, all of those factors that kind of just really were not meshing well together when it probably didn't have to be that situation that they put themselves in. And Magic could be kind of doing the same thing with the number of products or sets that are coming out. Things could get missed, and or people were worried about like chase cards, like the One Ring. Like, do we expect that to keep happening? So that's really where most of my concern is probably leaning towards.
I'm gonna make one addendum. I'm sorry. I just want to make one quick addendum. I agree with you. I think in certain instances, because I don't think it's the quantity. I think it is the quality, like you said. Because case in point, Bloomburrow did Gangbusters. That was a very popular set. Then the Outlaw set comes out and people are like very lackluster. And then Dustborn comes out and people are more a little nebulous on it. It's a little hit and miss here and there. So just as long as they can
more accepting.
Yeah,
I think Dustborn
yeah
made money.
Yeah. So I think just as long as they can keep the quality up, I think the fatigue, because mind you, in the past they were coming out with secret layer, secret layer, secret layer, secret layer, secret layer, and people are still selling out these secret layers. So I think product fatigue in some cases is a myth. Just as long as you keep giving people what they want, they'll keep buying. Sorry, Derek.
Well, they're selling out those secret layers for other reasons that are kind of bad, which is another issue and concern for right now.
FOMO, which is another video that we will probably get to at some point, because the secret layer a mess. So I'm on a similar wavelength to you said, but I think my biggest concern is if they're gonna go at it with this level of just like, I guess, frequency, and if we're gonna be getting 3 full universes beyond sets a year. My concern is, you talk about quality of cards, it's also the quality of the universes beyond sets. Because my thought process is, if you're doing universes beyond with like evergreen iconic franchises, so the Lord of the Rings, Final Fantasy, Marvel, 30 years from now, if Magic's still going, if we're all still here, like, you're going to look back and be like, that's awesome that Marvel and Magic did something together. It's amazing that Final Fantasy and Magic did something together.
Doctor Who.
But what about... But what?
I think Doctor Who and Magic was somehow successful to me.
Yeah, well, and it's like, what is that border of where does it stop being like a good collab, and where does it just feel like something that's like off-brand and just like kind of like trashy, for lack of a better term, in the sense of like, where does that IP end? Because like even something like The Walking Dead was kind of like a has-been show even when it came out, and then like it's a show, but it's still, when I see that, it's just kind of weird. It's like, okay, yeah, The Walking Dead and Magic did cards together, and it's like, if you use Marvel, if you use Final Fantasy, if you use Lord of the Rings, and you get all that out of the way, those are already been, the first year and a half. How far do they try to milk this? And do we get to the point where all of a sudden we have like NCIS Chicago, the set, because they've used everything else they could get rights to, or like CSI Miami, the set, and dude just putting on like, and obviously that's being a bit extreme, because a lot of the weirder stuff like SpongeBob come in secret layers, like those aren't getting full sets. Even Assassin's Creed, which I think is more of a borderline thing, got like its own limited release. It wasn't a full like standard set. So like, I think they're very aware of this, but that's my concern is where does that, because to me, a standard set of Magic is something that matters so much. And if a standard set of Magic ends up being some weird off-brand IP, well, that is something that I think is hard. That's like a stain that stays there.
Well,
can I
go for it?
Can I take this one?
Go for it.
You used to say a lot. I used to say a lot when we started the show that I was a Munchkin player before playing Magic, and Munchkin was my gateway into tabletop card games. If you don't know what Munchkin is a card game which is basically a physical representation of Dungeons and Dragons, and Munchkin in itself is a parody of Dungeons and Dragons. That's how the game started off, and that was like, people who knew Dungeons and Dragons were easily able to play Munchkin. And if you were kind of doing Munchkin, it might have been a gateway into Dungeons and Dragons in that way. So win-win, see how that's going. By the time I started playing, they started switching up a little bit. It's like, now we're going to have Munchkin superheroes. You're not in a dungeon anymore. And everything was a parody of, Ken, you played this with me a few times, like parody of X-Men. Everything was a parody of everything comic book. It was like, okay, this is fun, but not original Munchkin. Then you got Munchkin Bites, which was like monsters and werewolves and vampires and stuff. So Munchkin was taking some risk and adding just different spins on how they were doing Munchkin. So nothing out of the ordinary yet, until we got the actual Marvel Munchkin game that I think we played before a few times, Ken. Actual Iron Man, actual comic book characters are now on the Munchkin cards, and I gotta admit, it felt weird. It felt weird. I don't think we were enjoying it anymore. We didn't really play anymore after that. Now there's like Munchkin Ninja Turtles, Munchkin Batman, Munchkin Justice League maybe by this time. I don't know. I kind of stopped keeping up with it.
I will say this, and I understand people's concerns about this, but then at the end of the day, it's kind of subjective because we just stated that Lord of the Rings and Marvel and all these other IPs are good, but that's because those are well-known IPs to us. All right. But mind you, there's a whole fan base out there who didn't know anything about Doctor Who, and Doctor Who is a massive IP. So then it becomes subjective to and mind you, people like to crap on Walking Dead, but Walking Dead for its time was a massive IP. So then it becomes subjective to okay, is it not good because I personally don't like this IP and I don't see it as part of the lexicon of magic, or is it that it technically doesn't fit? Because, for example, Stranger Things. People didn't like Stranger Things, but I'm sitting there like, well, technically, if you've ever watched Stranger Things, it fits into the D&D role category because basically they are the mock-ups of D&D characters. You have your barbarian, your mage, your sorcerer, your quote-unquote wizard, your artificer who might be Dustin, but they actually fit, but people didn't like it because it was bringing the element of realism, even though they were representation of characters. But then you have Dungeons and Dragons, the movie come in and the game, and people are like, "Oh yeah, this is fine, this is perfect." And I'm saying, "What? Now wait a minute, okay? Is it that if you're saying this is a representation of people, and then the movie is a representation of people, I mean, how do you want to square that circle?"
No, and that part, I do agree. There is that level of subjectivity there. I just think that. And they'll see it from a sales perspective. I think they're going to be bailed out by the fact it sounds like they have a lot of Marvel stuff lined up for years to come, based on the fact they're going specifically just Spider-Man. It's not just like Marvel All-Stars. They're going specific, so that's going to sell like crazy every year. Maybe they can go through big video. I don't know what the plan is. But I would say, I don't even think it's a concern that I think is going to become an issue. I think there are so many. I mean, shit, we joke around all the time. Like, there's not enough time in your life to watch every amazing TV series and play every video game series in the world. It's like media has gotten to a point where there's so much good stuff out there that if they're only picking 3 things a year, it's going to be a very long time before they run out. But having said that, I think my only concern would be, depending on what they can get rights to, this and that, if the quality goes down, I just think it's a weird look for the game. But overall, I do think, and I think we think it's going to work out fine. And if anything, it's just going to bring a lot more players. But we have a few more topics we want to get to. The next thing I want to talk about, on a somewhat similar note, is that these are going through standard. None of us are. Can you watch? You're the most knowledgeable, I think, of standard of the three of us. Said, I don't know if you pay attention to it at all. I paid 0 attention to standard.
Yeah. So to understand the enemy, you must observe the enemy. Okay. I take that route.
You got to know the lesser formats, exactly. Like you said.
So just in case they want to ever rise up, you could actually destroy them. So yes, I have monitored and studied standard just so that I can have battle insights against the enemy. I don't do legacy because my pocketbook can't afford that. Sorry, vintage. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna mortgage a house to play some vintage. All right, I'll proxy those cards and then play them in your face.
So as someone who does at least follow standard, do you have any strong thoughts about the fact that these sets are now going? It sounds like, based on previous, discussions, it's not going to take much. There's not a ton to add to it, but does them going through standard change anything for you?
No, and I'll tell you why. I know a lot of people like Commander, but the biggest money maker in Magic and for Wizards of the Coast is standard, because it's a rotating set. You can build multiple decks, and that's where a lot of the money comes in. They need to bring in more people to standard. They need to bring in more people to these competitions so they can sell packs and make more money. Mind you, the bottom line is to make more money. So I'm coming at this from a business perspective, because remember, people don't realize how much of a hit businesses took during COVID, and now people are still trying to bounce back. So they're trying to shop any avenue that they can to bring in more money. They had a great couple of years, but they're still trying to find more avenues. So no, I like I said, I think this will actually, because if I can build a SpongeBob, if I can personally, I'm not a standard fan, but I will put together a Spider-Man deck. I will go to an F&M with a Spider-Man deck, and I will feel zero qualms about it, especially when I maximum carnage you into the dirt. And I will feel some pride about that too, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make this sing in your face.
So what about you though? Because yeah, I definitely agree with where you're coming from at that. Where like it is a genius way to bring in more players if standards, which I think not just from the money making perspective, but I think for Magic in general, like standard being healthy is good for Magic.
It is.
Like you want, when standard is, you want new sets to bring in new players. You want card design to be focused, at least for me as a Commander player, I want card design to focus almost entirely on standard. So that is, if standard's healthy, they'll focus more on standard. And for me, those are the most fun card designs to get to tweak and work with as a Commander player.
And let's not forget, when they did create a set, I want to go to Modern right quick, with the Modern Master release that almost broke the format.
And I'm gonna delve more into that in just a second too, because yeah, that's where my brain's at. But Seb, where are you at with the direct, or not direct, but going through standard first now?
So I have what's gonna sound like a more cynical take, and I'm gonna compare it to my thoughts about Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And I have this analogy that Black Friday ate Thanksgiving, and I say that in a sense that after Halloween, the next holiday is literally like Black Friday. Like, yes, we get off for Thanksgiving, but we're getting off really for Black Friday, because Black Friday sales used to just be on that Friday after Thanksgiving. And then it started creeping up until like, hey, we'll start letting you in at midnight. Hey, we'll start letting you in at 9 p.m. before. Hey, we'll let you start coming in right the 24 hours before. Now it's like 2 or 3 days before. So like,
oh, it's worse.
Black Friday.
There's Black Friday deals starting this Friday.
Right. So I'm to the point now where I'm comparing this to Magic in a sense that, you know how we say that, I know you say that standard is really what's supposed to be the driving sales of Magic, and sometimes it seems like Commander is that these days. At least more players are more entrenched in Commander than probably standard these days. And I think we're now to the point where Commander has eaten Magic.
Well, and that's the problem.
And yeah, I'll just expand on that and just just real quick, in a sense that, hey, all of these things have now, since, hey, if Commander can have it, standard, you can have it too. Everybody's happy. Everybody shut up. Everybody go home. Be happy. Be merry. If Commander gets it, standard, you get it too. And it's basically like, hey, we don't have to think about it. Maybe they're testing the waters to see how long this everything is in standard for will last. But I think it's going to stick around for a pretty good while. And it's almost in a sense like, hey, we're trying to mitigate confusion, maybe, possibly. We don't know what's standard legal. Shut up. Everything's standard legal. and so that's my take on it. And if Commander can have it, standard, you can have it too.
Actually, you're kind of right on this too, because I've heard the tales about like Atraxa and Nadu. Like Atraxa originally, when it came out, was just look at 10 cards and you get one of each, and then literally the rest of the text was put on there to make the card playable for Commander. And the same with Nadu. Like Nadu got changed at the last minute for like Commander. So I do understand what you're saying, but also Commander is also heavy on the secondary market too. So Wizards is a little iffy on that.
Yeah, but so I agree with both of kind of y'all's points regarding like, like there are some definite potential issues. I think sticking on along the same lines, the negative that sticks out to me as far as it being standard legal is that there's no escape hatch for Universes Beyond anymore. I think that it was already going to be modern legal, meaning it's that means it's going to be in Legacy, Vintage, all that. Standard was the place to get away from Universes Beyond, and now that doesn't exist. There is no format that is safe from Universes Beyond, so you don't have a place to play Magic if you don't want to be around all these other IPs. That to me is the biggest downside. I think having a Standard or a Magic IP only space within Magic was important. I felt like that was like a very crucial thing. So that is the biggest like alarm bell to me that feels bad. From a selfish Commander player perspective, though, I was so excited that they're going through Standard, because if I never have to see a direct to modern set again in my life, it will be the greatest day of my life. I hate direct to modern sets more than anything else. One, I don't play it. Or I have a modern deck. I have a modern Merfolk deck, but I don't play modern a ton. I play it every once in a while. I love to watch a lot of modern, and it feels like it's just become direct to modern set the rotation, that it's effectively just standard for direct to modern sets, and it's kind of ruined the spirit of what I enjoyed about modern. And not only that,
could you explain what that means?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, direct to modern is like Modern Horizons. All the Modern Horizon sets are direct to modern. They skip standard and they're legal in modern. Lord of the Rings was a direct to modern set, and that it skips standard and is legal in modern. And you look at all of those sets, and it's the most busted cards in the history of Magic. Like, outside of like the Urza Saga's years where nobody knew what was happening and it was all just chaos. Like, you got the One Ring, you got you talked about Nadu was in one of the more recent Modern Horizon sets. You have Orcish Bowmasters. You go back to the Force of Negations of the world. All of these direct to modern cards that were printed throughout all the Horizon sets and in Lord of the Rings. You have some of the biggest design mistakes in Magic's history littered throughout these sets. And basically what it does is, Modern was meant to be a non-rotating format that when it was started back in the day was basically like, hey, if you like Standard but you don't want to change your deck, build a Modern deck. And you have like all of these different things. And it literally has just become, you wait till a Modern Horizon set comes out, the entire meta is revamped, you change all your decks, and then you wait for the next Modern Horizon set to come out and do it again. And then Lord of the Rings comes out, and now every deck has a One Ring in it. And because it's such a popular IP, we refuse to ban the One Ring, and now you have to see it every day of your life. And it's just like...
Now, wait a minute. Now, people sat down and let Tron molest Modern for 2 decades, and now they want to change...
Well, no, it was never perfect. Like, it definitely... It's not like Modern was a perfect format, but I think there's a big gap between rotating the entire format and a shakeup, and it just feels way too much. It just feels way too much like when a direct to modern set comes out, you know there's going to be a few cards that just change everything. And even Lord of the Rings was a good example. It was a direct to modern set that was meant to appeal to the masses, but Orcish Bowmasters and the One Ring. I mean, the One Ring, I don't know the exact play rate off the top of my head, but it's effectively, to exaggerate, it's in every modern deck ever. Like, it doesn't matter what deck you're running the One Ring.
So it's homogenizing like, the format.
100%. And it's also basically making it rotate in the sense of every time a new Horizon set's coming out, bam, you're going to have to change all your decks to a ridiculous degree because the entire meta is going to shift. And it goes from like subtle changes over time to just huge, fast changes. And not just, it doesn't feel organic. It feels like there are a bunch of design mistakes forced into shake up just for the sake of shaking up and sell cards versus meta shifts over the course of time with new decks gaining favor. Like, for me, it's just not what I enjoy. And again, I play Merfolk, so I clearly don't have any good thoughts about Modern. I make terrible decisions in my life, so I might not be the person to ask. But having said all that, not just for Modern, but for Commander, a lot of the most obnoxious to play against cards in Commander are also a result of these direct... It feels like it's also power creeping Commander in the process. And if these Universes Beyond sets now have to go through Standard, and yes, there's been plenty of Standard legal sets that have busted cards and this and that, and then like, but the level of design, and even for Fire design, I don't even know if that's still a thing, but I know that was the thing that caused all of the mess of power creep, was like, you still have to design with Standard being a concept. You can't skip it anymore. You can't make a Nadu, because that would immediately get flagged. You can't worry about, oh, this will be more fun for Commander, it'll be fine in Modern. It needs to survive Standard. And the One Ring and all these other designs, I don't see them being in a Standard legal set. Like, I think a lot of them were pushed because of the fact they could skip that. And so for me, my biggest fear my first thought, if I hear about all these Universes Beyond things, is that all the most busted cards in Magic and in Commander are going to be Universes Beyond. So not only is Universes Beyond a huge thing, all the best staples are now all Universes Beyond, and it doesn't feel like Magic. But if they're not all direct to modern sets and they are standard legal and they're operating on the same power level as all these other Magic sets, to me that is a calming thing to me, because now, okay, yes, there's going to be a bunch of new Spider-Man cards, but they're not all trying to compete with the One Ring to be the most busted thing in Modern. They're now trying to create a fun standard environment, a fun draftable environment, as opposed to let's just break everything and see what's left of it.
Just sorry to interrupt, but I just got a visualization of probably you or Ken double teaming me with Starscream and no, not Starscream. Who's the Transformer you have?
A Blaster.
Blaster, and Ken is gonna have Captain America equipped with the Excalibur, and I'm just like over here like what is happening? Like,
wait,
what is this?
Thank you for bringing that up, Sid. Thank you. You the nerve, the unmitigated gall to sit on your soapbox to talk that trash, and you sit on there with a Transformer deck, one of which has broken the meta. Get out of here.
Wait, what Transformer broke the meta? They're not legal. Oh, it's a fringe CEDH.
Oh, yeah,
deck. It is a fringe CEDH deck, and it is a great time.
CEDH don't count. It's like broccoli at a steakhouse. It's just there.
But no, so one thing it feels like then in general we have concerns, but in general we feel very positive, which I think is cool, because like I am more excited about next year. I think since the brothers were the most hyped set I've ever been before a set was released, when it was announced by the name, just because I was so excited. But like the fact that we get to see Spider-Man cards next year, and I'm not even a big Marvel fan. I just, as a kid who grew up loving Spider-Man, like I feel like 95% of people, like the fact that we're going to see Final Fantasy, like I'm more hyped for next year than I've been for a year in Magic in a while. And it's because of Universes Beyond. And as much as my first instinct is to always shit on it and like joke and be like, oh, it's dumb, it's not Magic, it's not this, the hype for it is real and the excitement's real. And like we just talked about Blaster. I grew up as a huge, I got an Optimus Prime head behind me. Like I grew up loving Transformers. I don't know if it's going to make the frame, but I do have an Optimus Prime head behind me. I grew up loving Transformers. So the fact that like I want to go play Magic, I get to play Blaster. Like that's the coolest thing ever. And I think with all the negatives, everything else, like I think that positive of it wins out. Ken, you look very skeptical.
Yeah, Optimus Prime, it was a trash Autobot, because he was just a data bot. He was one of the suckiest ones out there.
Look, all they had was him and Bumblebee, and I'm not
Take
a Bumblebee
the Bumblebee.
fan. I'm sorry. No, I'm not Team Bumblebee. Bumblebee's overrated. He cares about humans too much.
By the way, since we're talking about Spider-Man, I need to give a shout out to that scumbag bartender at Yardbird who had the unmitigated gall, the testicular fortitude to say Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man. First of all, I want to tell you you're wrong, okay? Second of all, you're horrifically uneducated and cynical if you have the ball sack to sit there. And first of all, Tom Holland, Mark McGuire, sorry, what's his name? Tobey Maguire slander. Tobey Maguire slander will not be tolerated in this house, okay? All right, and Tom Holland is okay. You will not disrespect the forefathers who paved the way for Spider-Man, you trash bastard. How dare you? And then sat there with a face, a person claimed to be a person of faith, to sit there and lie to us as he sat there and poured a watered down Sprite. You asshole. Sorry.
Shout out, he seemed like a nice guy otherwise. Shout out Bartender, dude.
Pretty sure he's a good person. You know, make sub sandwiches for old people, but still, probably sneezes in that bread. I'm just saying, if he believes Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man.
Even I know that's not true, and there's very few things I know. Okay, so let's get into the last part, because as we kind of try to close this out, talking about the specific sets for next year. Now we'll have more brief thoughts on these, because we went a little. I guess we had more feelings than I expected about the first few topics, but a look into 2025. So we have Aether Drift, we have Tarkir Dragonstorm, we have Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternities, which is like the space opera set, Spider-Man, and then an unannounced Universes Beyond. It could be anything. It could even be a boat.
So we have Final Fantasy
got?
and we have the Fifth Element. Thank you.
There we go. So out of these sets, what sticks out to you all the most? Because initially I wanted to go through each one. We'll be here for 17 hours if we do that. We already know. Look, let's just eliminate Spider-Man and Final Fantasy. We are all very excited. Like, we already know. Like, I think if we had to pick one, we're all going to pick Spider-Man. Maybe I'll pick Final Fantasy. Like, that's clearly what the most hype is. Of the Magic sets for next year, does one stick out to you? Or of the Magic IP sets, does one stick out as the most hype? Because, like, yeah, the easy answers are Final Fantasy and Spider-Man. Like, we can talk about those for 17 hours already. But out of Aether Drift, Tarkir Dragonstorm, and Edge of Eternities, what's sticking out to you the most?
First of all,
Ken, I'll throw it to you.
The only Final Fantasies that were good were 7 and 10. Let's put that on the plate. Second of all,
I mean, those were amazing, but so was 8 and 9.
Garbage and garbage.
I loved 13. I loved 15.
Lightning was horrible, but okay. Anyway, back to what I was stating.
11 was great.
Which were facts. I don't know what the hell Tarkir is, but okay. So I guess I'll go with the Fast and Furious set. No, I'll take the Space Opera set because I'm pretty sure they're gonna have Lilu Dallas Multipass, and if they create a version of that card, then I'm all in. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't know what any of that meant. No,
it's the fifth. It's the fifth element.
I'm happy for you, or sorry about your what?
Sometimes I just want to put hands on Derek because I think he might be messing with me sometimes. Like these.
You said Lilu who?
Lilu Dallas. Oh, like my blood pressure just jumped 5 times.
Like Lilu and Stitch.
I think you messing with me now. What is wrong with you?
No, I actually don't know who Lilu Data Boss is. I don't know who you're talking about.
And you know the weird part? He may actually be telling the truth because he couldn't even name.
I believe him.
He couldn't even name Avengers.
I'm dead ass.
Pleasant Kenobi asked you to name some Avengers and you were struggling.
I was. Sorry, Vince. I've let you down so many times. Lilu from the Fifth Element?
Lilu
Yeah.
Yes. Dope.
Okay.
He was multipass.
I looked it up. Bam. I'm knowledgeable. Okay, so I'm glad you're looking forward to Lilu in Edge of Eternities. Said, do you also have a character that I've definitely heard of that you're really excited to see in the set next year?
This is why we can't have nice things. This is exactly why I can't take you nowhere.
I hate you. Hate both of you. All right. I was trying to think of a cool dragon, but dragons aren't. I don't know. Dragons are dragons. So I guess I can talk about Tarkir because I did express some interest in it because one dragon I guess you will recognize is Ugin is apparently coming back. So welcome back to the story or lore, whatever is happening in Magic these days. Ugin. So I'm excited to see that and see how busted that card is. Actually, no, I want to take bets. Is Ugin going to be busted or tame?
Tame.
I'm going to take Tame. I feel like it's going to be so hyped and it's just going to be like just an Ugin retiring, twirling his little dragon mustache.
Yeah,
you know,
it's gonna.
I think it's gonna be tame.
It's gonna be a 5-drop. That
no, it has to be 7.
No, because the last
the
one
thing
was
with
6.
He's 6.
Yeah.
Ugin the unfuckable.
But maybe if you have enough drinks, he will.
You're right. That one is 6. Yeah. I remember that one now. I'm thinking about OG Ugin. Sorry.
Yeah. They had to launch the creator of that one out of a cannon into a bus after they made that card. They was like, "Wait, you did what?"
You're fired.
He's in the same pit. It was whoever created Nadu. He's still getting beat right now. They beat the shit out of him.
Pretty sure that no wizard employees were harmed in the making of this.
Yes, the hell they were. And they made Gavin
made
Gavin watch.
I think I'm more excited to see what Tarkir has to offer lore wise, because I want to know if this like what happened after things the time travel incidents. So like is Tarkir caught up? Did they have I guess they did they were part of the Phyrexian invasion because our bear punching guy was allied with a bear.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
so
Yeah.
And this makes
So,
sense
yeah.
to y'all. And this makes sense to y'all. A SpongeBob is a step too far, but a bear punching the dragon is okay.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going on in Tarkir. I'm glad to see what's happening.
Okay. So for me, so one thing that I'm hoping for that I know we won't get is, so I've had a dream for a very long time that I had this theory that the Fast and the Furious movies were moving towards a crossover with Transformers, and Vin Diesel would finally reveal himself as a Transformer this entire time. I mean, they ended up in space. Transformers are aliens. It was all just perfect. And this one's called Aether Drift. So it's a racing set in or Aether, something about Kaladesh, I assume. There's robots in Kaladesh.
It crosses over 3 planes.
It's across 3 planes.
Yeah.
But there was like it felt like the vehicles and stuff looked very Kaladesh-esque in the art. So I don't know if that's like this is the set that we get Vin Diesel as a Transformer. That is my call for next year. It's going to be a flip card, transform, Vin Diesel into a car.
I'm pretty sure one of the versions of Sad Robot is just Vin Diesel as a robot.
Just no neck.
It might already be there, but when you transform him, you have to yell family. Every time. That's the activation cost, family. And then just bam, you're good to.
It's actually a mechanic.
You're good to go.
It's actually a mechanic called family. So when you crew 1, you can crew 2 more vehicles.
It's coming. That's my expectation.
I guess they're pilots as well.
Yes.
This
is what we need.
One crazy stupid thing. One crazy stupid thing coming out of Aether Drift is the trophy is some type of spark thing or whatever that everyone's after, but it's also an artifact planeswalker. It's a planeswalker artifact. It has 3 types: planeswalker, artifact. I don't think it's an enchant. I think it's an equipment. I think it's an equipment as well. But yeah, it's weird. There's no text revealed on it yet, but that's the only things that's been revealed about it. Is that it's a planeswalker artifact or equipment or something like that.
Well,
and I was like, okay, we're approaching weird.
Well, they also have the new set that's coming out after that. That's supposed to be the Nickelodeon set. And the key legendary of that one is supposed to be a partner commander of Kenrith and Kale. Oh, here we go.
Shut up.
Sorry. Kenrith and Kellen. Sorry.
I don't need a orange soda card.
Yo, speaking of orange soda, some wild shit that I'm sure everybody already knew about. I had orange Fanta in Europe.
It's different.
Because I know that's a big thing.
It's different.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like orange juicy.
It is. Yeah, it's like orange juice soda, and it's a different color, and it's wonderful. And I don't know why we don't have it here. Kel's mind would explode if he had orange Fanta in Europe.
First of all the sodas in Europe taste better, and they're not as sweet. Let's put that on the wood right there. And second of all, elderberry Fanta. Did you try it?
I didn't even see elderberry Fanta.
Bust it.
I just got one. I got one in my fridge, an orange Fanta, because I bought one at the airport because I needed more of it in my life before it was gone forever. Okay, so the last thing we'll say, because we were definitely up on time here, the unannounced Universes Beyond. Very quick and to the point. I want everybody to guess what it's going to be. What is your guess for what the unannounced Universes Beyond is? Can go.
Oh yeah, we already got this queued up. It's going to be restaurants, baby. I wanted to see Taco Bell fight Arby's, and it's going down for real. It's going to be
guaranteed to be
a real shit show, literally.
That's the tagline. Said, what is your pick for unannounced Universes Beyond?
I think it's going to be. I want to make this I want it to make sense, but then I also have have a conspiracy theory. I don't know if I should say it on air. So I'm gonna,
now I feel like you have to.
I'm gonna guess. Independence Day.
Oh,
ID4 baby. ID4 baby. Will Smith.
He just slapping everybody. He just slapping. Just a mechanic. Get up and smack the player.
The only good thing is if that happens, then we get a Wild Wild West set coming.
Jeff Goldblum is back on it. Jeff Goldblum is making a second appearance on the Magic card.
Round 2. All right. I am gonna go with a Song of Ice and Fire. I think they might do a Lord of the Rings. Oh gosh, oh gosh, I completely blanked.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I kept wanting to say I almost said Lord of the Rings. I was like, no, not Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. No, not that. Oh. I almost said a song. Of Lord of the Rings.
So clearly Derek did crack.
Song of Ice and Fire.
Clearly Derek did crack while he was in Ireland.
They do say have a crack while you're there, which means have fun, not actual crack. Did I read that correctly? I don't know, but yeah, it's have a crack. CRAIC. So shout out to any Irish listeners we have that are having a crack. So yeah, my guess is a Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones. I think that would be a cool one, and especially it's releasing in the winter. Winter is coming. I could see some stuff going down with that. Tell us in the comments which one of those 3 you think is most likely. Obviously the shit show. I mean, I think we already know. I think that was an official confirmation. We just got the set.
It goes.
But if anyone is like wild enough to disagree, please let us know in the comments if you think any of us might be right or if you have a different idea.
Well, the tagline is "Shit gets real and then it's on sale." But yeah.
Oh. All right. So you got any closing thoughts for us? Any shout outs we got to give before we wrap it up?
No, I would say just again, thanks to all of our listeners out there, especially those who we were able to meet at MagicCon Vegas. I think we're going to do another round of this in Chicago, like we said at the beginning. So definitely come and see us there. Whether if it snows or not, we'll keep you guys posted if we're coming.
Real talk, if it's too cold, I'm staying in my room and tell y'all to go F yourself, porticate yourselves with a stick.
It's the love that you can only get from Ken. No one else will show you that form of love.
Yeah. But definitely one of the things that I forgot when this was announced, but shout out to MagicCon at Atlanta. Is that what it is? Or is this something else?
It's a MagicCon. It's a full MagicCon.
Yeah, we're doing MagicCon in Atlanta, so definitely catch us here next year.
The worst place. I'm gonna take y'all to Peachtree City and leave y'all. The worst place I'm gonna take y'all. I'm gonna force y'all to eat lemon pepper wet wings, and then y'all will understand. No, I'm gonna put y'all in traffic for 5 hours.
I think they're going to feel it as soon as they get here. But anyway, definitely looking forward to that. And lastly, just, shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player, Heavy Play, and Into the AM. So with all the announcements, we can see them from space and we can see them dripping. And we look nice in our Into the AM clothes while all these Universe Beyond sets are dripping. Oh, it could be an alien set. What if it's an alien set, y'all?
Oh, that would be. Ooh. Yes.
Marvel does have aliens. It would just roll right over. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'd see aliens eating Taco Bell. The real shit gets real in space.
Oh, you scream after that one. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe. But until next time, remember, I'm a goofy goober. You're a goofy goober, because that set is coming soon.
Hey, we got to give it the salty spittoon rating when it does. Peace, y'all.
We called it.